Alright, right on folks, this is part 5 of the tile shower build. I hope you're enjoying this series as I build this shower here from start to finish. So today, I'm going to show you how I cut and install the tile that goes on the walls. So I'm going to go over thinset, I'm going to go over tile cutting, I'm going to go over edge polishing, and I'm also going to go over how I cut and install the marble that goes into the shower niche. So that's a pretty cool process. All right, I got lots of great tips and tricks for you today, so stay tuned and let's get busy.
The first step in setting this tile and making the job go smooth is to set up this laser level. And you see this story pole right here? Now I took some time to make a story pole with the tile, and then I set this up in the shower, and I'm using the laser level to project a line where I want the grout joints to land. Now right here, I want a grout joint to land at the bottom of the shower niche. And I want to say, prior to doing this, I did lay out all the tile on paper. I didn't want to go into this blindly. I want to go in with a nice, confident plan, knowing where the tile is going to land. Now right here, I'm tacking up a ledger strip. This is the way to go. I will come back, install the floor later, and have the tile on the wall overlap the shower floor.
I'm going to start with this row right here. I'm actually going to start with this tile that gets cut around the bench, so it's a long, narrow, L-shaped cut.
Now that I have the first tile cut, it's time to mix up some thinset. I'm using the Laticrete Multi-Max Light, and after some conversation with the Laticrete rep, this is the way to go. You can use this stuff in a swimming pool, in a submersible location. I think this is a great product to use, especially in this steam shower. But don't be fooled by the directions on the bag. It says 5.2 to 5.4 quarts for thin bed floors, 4.8 to 5 for large tile. I tell you, if you mix it up with those directions, you can't even turn the paddle in the thinset. I had to go up to 7 quarts to get this to the right consistency for setting the tile.
All right, I let the mud or thinset rest for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to mix it again for about 1 minute.
All right, it's time to get some thinset on the wall. And I'm using a 1/2 inch square notch trowel. That is the recommended size trowel for this big tile, this big 12 by 24 tile. Notice there I am back buttering these tiles. I'm just putting a light skim coat on the back side of the tile before I put it on the wall. You really want to do that to ensure a good bond to the wall.
We got some tile on the wall. I actually like starting with the hardest one first. That's pretty cool. Kind of sets the pace. You get into the rhythm, get into the groove. All right, now I can move on to some full tiles. Now we can start cooking with some steam.
I am using a leveling clip system, a lippage system. I'll put a link to these clips in the description. Again, with the light back butter on the back of the tile. Now when I set this tile on the wall, I want to make sure I give this the shimmy shake, back and forth, back and forth. You want to collapse all those lines there from the notch trowel and ensure a really good bond to the wall. Now here I'm going to pop this tile off and see what kind of bond that I have to the wall.
All right, but we want to see our coverage. Look at that. We're getting 100% coverage back here. That is such a nice bond. All right, we got our leveling spacers. Those look great.
Let's cut some more tile. And here on the saw, I'm using a diamond cutting wheel, and I'm also using these diamond abrasive pads on the angle grinder to to soften the edge after I cut it on the tile saw. Now this is great. You can use a stone to do this, but I tell you, these little diamond pads are great for softening this edge.
That makes a really nice edge with that diamond wheel.
You can really see here how creamy smooth this Laticrete Multi-Max Light is. It really is nice to work with. All right, our next row of tile has the shower valves, and I'm going to show you how I cut those out with a diamond hole saw. What I have is a 1 3/8 diamond hole saw. Sometimes they come with these little cups. Actually, these cups are not bad. I just kind of hold it in place, and then I set this up, center it on the hole, and then I use that as a guide to start the hole. You can start these kind of on an angle and then work your way up. Either way works great. I'm just going to put some water in this cup. That's the nice thing about this cup, is it actually holds a little bit of water. Sometimes I just grab the hose like this with one hand. And there we go. We got a nice hole ready to rock and roll. Now when putting these tiles up, and you put the thinset on the wall, and then you use the trowel, you get the 1/2-inch notch, and then come along the bottom. Sometimes you can come along with a margin trowel or just with your finger, and that keeps the grout from squishing out, especially when you're using this system with the lippage system with these little wedges. You can't push the tiles together to squeeze out the grout and wipe it off. So you're putting these in, you're putting the wedges, you don't really have a shot to squeeze that grout out and wipe it off. And I want to show you the back of the tile real quick. It has like a grain to it. It's kind of a textured back. And so it's good to back butter these tiles just slightly to fill that. And that will give it some really good grab to the thinset that is on the wall. These are porcelain tiles. These are about 3/8 of an inch thick. You can see I got the nice back butter on the tile. Back butter, right? I do like that Amish butter. You ever get that Amish butter? Now I'm going to cut the hole for the Delta shower valve that I have installed. Now this cut is not that difficult to make. It might seem like a daunting task, but actually it's pretty easy. I just freehand this on the tile saw by lifting the tile up into the diamond blade. And if you look closely at this diamond blade spinning, the blade is spinning a little bit out of balance. I think the center hole on this blade was not drilled exactly right, but I'm suffering through it for this job. Okay, so after cutting from the front side, I flip it over and I cut it from the back side. I'm trying to get as close into those corners as I can with the diamond wheel. And now I'm using the handheld diamond wheel on the angle grinder, just kind of rocking this in a circular type motion there and a little bit of an arc. And I'll work it from the front and then I'll work it from the back, and then this will pop right out. Now with that center popped out, I can reach in with this diamond blade and dress up the inside. And I cannot emphasize enough to clean up as you go. You do not want to be doing this later, let me tell you. All right, I continued on and I tiled up these other two walls, and that brings us to cutting the marble for the shower niche. Now I have a local countertop guy that sets out a lot of scraps at his place, and I go over there and I pick these up for free. So all these pieces that I'm using to make the shower niche, I picked up from him, and I'm just cutting these into usable pieces. So don't be discouraged or afraid to cut your own marble or stone on your own tile saw or with a handheld angle grinder with a diamond wheel on it. It is very easy. This is not rocket science. Just get the water running, cut this stuff up, and there we go. We're going to have a very nice shower niche from this marble. All right, after I cut all of these marble pieces, I'm going to polish the edges with these little diamond pads for the angle grinder. I got the water running, and here we go. Look at this beautiful shower niche. Beautiful, for free. A bunch of pieces that I got and just cut on the tile saw. All right, for one bag of the Multi-Max Light, I got 3 rows on 3 walls. So I got part of this niche wall, that wall, and this right here. So now this is all set up overnight. So now I'm gonna break off all these little deals. So you just come along, right, and you give these a shot, and these break right off. Looks like I got a little grout. I got a scratch out of there, or a thinset I should say, but these just snap right off. So I'm gonna snap all these off. That frees up a bunch more wedges. All right, it is time to install the shower niche. So I got the marble bottom part here. I'm gonna start laying these pieces in. Alright, I'm using a 1/4-inch notch trowel. I got it laid down here on the bottom. I got it laid on this piece of marble. And I have these both going in the same direction, so when they go in, we're not creating any air pockets. And I already had this pre-sloped. Okay, and even though I am doing this section here in fast forward, I still feel like I'm giving you a good idea of what it's like to install this shower niche. I'm trying not to give you just the quick splash and dash in this video. I want to give you a real idea of what it's like to install these pieces. So here I am working my way up with these pieces of marble with a thin set, making sure I'm using the level, getting the proper pitch on these so the water runs off. I have these shims in here for the joints, for the grout, and the silicone caulking later. All right, here's a look at the niche. I got all the marble pieces in, and I know that these pieces don't match one another. I got all these pieces for free. You know, I've always been kind of a scrapper. But I think it looks pretty good. So now it's time to put some tile around it, work my way around. I'm actually gonna put a little marble shelf in right here. So got some thin set rolling, so let's get cracking. I'm starting to map out the back wall here above the bench. So I got the laser set up so I could put this stick here on the wall. I can butt my tiles to that stick. And you see this laser is also projecting on the ceiling. So I'll also put a stick up here, and you see how this plane projects across onto this wall. So this is great. I'll put some sticks up here, put some lines. The laser is such a valuable tool. I just pulled the sticks around the perimeter, our little guide sticks that were supporting our second row of tile. But now there are some nail holes, so I will go over these holes with some more of the Hydroban liquid. All right, we're looking pretty good. This is the next day. So our niche is all set up. Looking pretty sharp though. I'm liking how that looks and the shelves. All right, now I'm gonna break off all these guys and get rolling on the bench wall right here. I just wanted to show you real quick the different types of spacers that I'm using. So I like this U-shaped spacer. This is a 1/8 inch. And then I'm using this. This is the lippage system for getting everything nice and flush. So this is an 1/8 inch spacer as well. And then you can see, right, we got this guy slides into the slot and that tightens down on your tile to get everything nice and flush. And the other thing I like using is these little wedges. So if you gotta tweak something around, these little wedges, I don't know what these are, like silicone or rubber or something. These are great for manipulating the tile where you need to push something up a little bit higher. So, pretty cool. All right, here is a close-up of the cut, and you can see little chips and that type of thing in the porcelain, little tiny ones, see like that right there. So I'll show you how I polish this edge. To smooth out this edge, you can use a stone, a tile rubbing stone. You can use a diamond hand sanding pad that they make for tile. I like to use this. This is diamond sanding pad, and this one is 100 grit, and this is great. So when the tile's still wet off of the saw, you can come and what we got, that looks really nice now. That just looks like a factory edge. So all right, I'm about to cut some of this Schluter tile edge. This is the aluminum and chrome. So you see I got a 45 marked on here. I got the saw set to 45. So let's make a cut. And I think my hand was right in the way of the camera, but there is our cut. And then I'll even come and nip some of this off with some dikes just so that doesn't interfere, but that makes a nice cut on the chop saw. You can also do this on the tile saw if you have a jig set up for it. Here is the type of trim that this is if you are interested. I can get this off without damaging the wall. All right. So now with that board off, I'm going to wipe this nice and clean. But what I'm going to do is now slide this behind the tile. I'll give you a closer look at this here. It has this kind of webbing system, and that will trap it in the thinset. You can do this a couple of ways. You can put it on the wall in the thinset, or slide this in behind the tile
while the thin set is still wet, and that is what I'm doing right here. See how that caps off the edge of the tile? That's a real nice way to do that. You could do that with a tile, bullnose, that type of thing, but this is pretty deluxe. So I'll also, you can see I cut that on a miter up there, and I'll put another piece on the ceiling that will be cut to a miter and go along the edge of the tile. Now I'm working my way around the perimeter up here by the ceiling, and this ceiling is tapered because it is a steam shower, so all the water drips this way on the ceiling. So I'm cutting some long tapered pieces here. These areas here, right, it's real difficult to get a big trowel like that, a 1/2-inch notch trowel. What I have here is a little small 1/4-inch notch trowel. So instead of doing 1/2 inch on the wall, I'll do 1/2 inch, I'll do 1/4 inch on the wall and 1/4 inch on the back of the tile for the back butter. All right. Okay. And that will give me the 1/2 inch buildup that I need. All right, if you need to clean up some of this thin set in the cracks after you pop off the grout line spacing system, I like to use this tool right here. It's a multi-tool, and this has like a grout removal blade, right? It's got the diamond grit in it, and that is great for getting in here and digging out some of the thin set that has filled the cracks and get this ready for grout. And I want to make a note that you should come the next day after setting the tile, knock off all the spacers, and take out this thin set while it's still soft and it's still green. It makes it come out very easily. If it does get hard after a few days, you can use this tool. This does remove it, but it comes out very easily on the next day. So remove all the little grout spacers on the following day. All right, right on, folks. That's it for part 5 of the tile shower build. Be sure to stay tuned for the next parts where I go over the cutting and installation of the shower floor. Also go over this amazing LED lighting that I put in, this perimeter lighting that goes all the way around the top of the shower. It's really nice, it's dimmable, it's soft on the eyes. After that, I go over the install of the ceiling tile. I go over the grouting and the caulking, the whole 9 yards, so you kind of want to stay tuned for that. All right, I hope you guys are doing great, and I'll see you all soon. Right on.
Watch your top knot.